We left the other day talking about the Byzantine Empire and Byzantine culture and this Eastern Christian church with a Greek language that starts to separate from the Roman Catholic Church. In 1054, it's a complete severance between East and West. But in the centuries before, they were starting to verge apart from each other. Today we're going to talk about a new state that will rise in Eastern Europe called Kievan Rus. It takes the name Kievan Rus because of the city within it called Kiev. Right down there. Today, Kiev is the capital of a nation called Ukraine. All right? So Kiev is the capital of Ukraine. Today's Ukraine is right next door to the biggest country on the planet, Russia. So this is really what we're going to consider the first Russian state. All right? Now, before there was a state, of course, there's people living there, but they don't live within any kind of centralized government. So there's powerful landlords. We already talked. What do we call these landlords in Russia? Boyars. Boyars, right? So there's landlords that control the land. It's not up there yet. I'll get it up there. There's landlords that control the land. They're the wealthy ones. They're the powerful ones. They're the ones that might provide protection for the people that are working their land for them. But there's no centralized state until we have the rise of Kievan Rus. Now we're going to start this conversation with the first entrance of religion in the 9th century. Someone give me 1 year within the 9th century. 873, that's a good one. With two missionaries, Cyril and Methodius. St. Cyril and St. Methodius in the Eastern Orthodox religions. Cyril and Methodius, and actually if anybody lives in Sterling Heights around 19 and Ryan, there's a church there called Church of St. Cyril and St. Methodius, Cyril and Methodius Church. It's a Macedonian Orthodox church. Cyril and Methodius are from down in the Byzantine Empire, and they're Christian missionaries. Christian missionaries is one way that religion spreads, or at least Christianity spreads, by people going on mission trips. They're going from one place to another in hopes of spreading their faith. Cyril becomes very important because Cyril is going to create a new alphabet, which is known as the Cyrillic Alphabet. C-Y-R-I-L, Cyril, I-C. The Cyrillic Alphabet. It is the alphabet that Cyril creates to give an alphabet based on, remember, what is an alphabet compared to other language, other written language like a pictographic language, or a, yes ma'am? Yeah, a pictographic language or an ideographic language, that's like hieroglyphics, or even like the Chinese script, where each image that you're drawing represents an idea or a word, right? Like you might draw a bird to represent a bird, right? And those are pictographic or ideographic. An alphabetic language like we have is phonetically based, where we have symbols that represent sounds. Our letter B doesn't represent anything. It's just a sound, B, B, right? And so if we put a B with a couple E's, now this puts sounds together and we all can recognize what the B is, right? So Cyril is going to go north. He's going to go north and trying to spread the Christian religion. And one way he's going to try to do that is to take the Slavic peoples that live in this area and give them an alphabetic language that they don't have. They have a language. They have a Slavic language that they speak to each other. But they don't have a written language that goes along with it. So he creates one for them. And this is known as the Cyrillic alphabet. To this day, Russians still write in the Cyrillic alphabet. Now, what important book do you think Cyril is going to be using this new alphabet to write? The Bible. And so people in these Slavic lands north of the Byzantine Empire can now start reading a Bible in their own tongue, in their own language, and they can hear it and see it now. So these guys become very important in spreading the Christian church, the Eastern Christian church, north of the Byzantine Empire. But now we're going to spend our time, now that Christianity is making its way up there, talking about this big and very loosely organized state that we can call Kievan Rus. Kievan Rus is built upon a trade route that is going to be taking goods from the Byzantine Empire, which is down here. And please notice, this is a zoomed-in map. I am learning very quickly that many of my students aren't that strong with our maps. All right? The number one key to getting better with your maps is learning the bodies of water. And once we learn the bodies of water, because those are identifiable, those have defined shapes that don't change over time, like national borders might. So once you can find the bodies of water, build everything off of there. So in this case, we have a pretty distinctive body of water right here. Everybody see what I'm drawing here? Wah, wah. Everybody see that? That is what we call the Black Sea. That is what we call the Black Sea. I think of the Black Sea, if you were to open your mouth wide, everybody open your mouth really wide, and find someone around you that does not have a cold right now, and go really close and stare right into their mouths. Now that's weird, don't do that, that's gross. But I want you to imagine staring deep into someone's wide open mouth. I know, hopefully they've had a breath mint or something today. If you were to stare into someone's wide open mouth and move your head closer and closer into their mouth, you're going to see something hanging off the back of their throat, right? Very good. That's called a uvula. A uvula, right? But if you stare even closer to that wide open mouth, and you see that little hangy ball thing back there, the uvula, and you get your head closer and closer and closer, it's getting really weird. What is going to happen to your ability to see in their mouth? It's going to get dark, right? Because you're blocking all the light. Your big head is in their mouth, and you're blocking all the light from it. And so that mouth now is not having any light. It's very black. Oh, look. The Black Sea kind of looks like an open mouth with a uvula hanging in the back. We just call that uvula, that's the Crimean Peninsula. We'll talk about that later in the year. But find the Black Sea on a map. It's got the little uvula hanging. If you find the Black Sea, maybe I'm nuts, but if you find the Black Sea, you can probably find the city of Constantinople. Because Constantinople is a peninsula where it looks like Asia over here, Turkey, Asia Minor, is coming in contact with Europe. There's a very narrow strait that goes right through there. But that's where Constantinople is. So the biggest city in Eastern Europe, Constantinople, is going to be involved in a lot of trade. Some of the trade to the Middle East, some trade across the Mediterranean to North Africa, some trade north to Scandinavia. Scandinavia is this big thing up here, which is Norway, Sweden, and Finland today. It's called the Scandinavian Peninsula. And up there, there's going to be a lot of things to trade, like animal pelts and furs and such, right? And you guys know how furs can kind of be seen as a luxury item? Like back in the, I don't know. Do any moms own fur coats these days? Is that still a thing that anyone's moms have? Couple. A lot of people are like, my mom had a fur coat. It was a luxury item, especially back in the 20th century and before. Today we're like, yeah, that ain't cool to kill all those animals for the furs. That's not really cool. Back in the day, we didn't care about that so much. We didn't worry about how cute the animals were. We just wanted to stay warm, and it was soft. Anyway, a trade route would develop between north and south. I don't have a name for this trade route. AP World doesn't require you to know this trade route. Let's just call it like the Byzantine to Scandinavia trade route if you want. That's a long trade route. Can you imagine walking from here to here? You don't really do it. You might stop along the way at various towns that will grow along this trade route as it will flourish. One of those towns is called Kiev. All right? One of those towns is called Kiev. Around that town, this society, or this state, known as Kievan Rus, will grow. Another town further to the north is called Novgorod. Novgorod. This is one that we're gonna see again and again. Novgorod. Vladimir was the prince of Novgorod. The one that you guys read about, Vladimir was the prince of the town of Novgorod. So around the city of Kiev, a monarchy will grow. They will convert to Eastern Christianity, and so that will become eventually known as the Russian Orthodox Church. This state around Kiev will become known as Kievan Rus. Kievan Rus. The Rus is for red, because many of these people from Scandinavia in the north that were going through and trading, they had red hair. So Kievan Rus was literally called that because of the red hair of some that were trading there. This would become the largest state in Europe, the biggest state in Europe. But it's not really powerful. It's very decentralized. They're not going to expand beyond their borders in Eastern Europe. They don't conquer anybody else. In fact, they're going to get conquered eventually. By the time we get to the thousands, the 1100s, the 1200s, the Byzantine Empire is in quick decline. And as the Byzantine Empire is weakening, there's going to be less trade going back and forth. As there's less trade going back and forth, there's less money for Kievan Rus. And then they will start to weaken themselves. In the 13th century, the Mongols come in and conquer this state of Kievan Rus. They'll bring this kingdom to an end. And that's really all we need to know about Kievan Rus today.